Today's a great day because you'll be learning how to get the La La Land look for every type of clip or footage you work with. If you're new to the channel, I'm Giuseppe. I started out as a broke videographer many years ago and eventually I became a remote colorist. That means that I get paid just to do color grading. This won't just be a generic YouTube tutorial, and the guys that follow this channel already know what's in store for them. In this video, you'll see what my mindset is like, how I watch a clip, how I reference an image, how I decide what to do with my footage, and you'll get the exact blueprint that can allow you to get the La La Land look for your footage, which is not split toning or orange and teal, as a lot of beginners think. Also, the top link in the description takes you to my online Color Kings Academy. And today's lesson will be on one of my students' grades. So we will review together what went right, what went wrong, and how to handle his footage. If you want me to also review your footage, check the top link in the description. Hi, I use split toning technique where I'm highlight called shadows. Not happy with results. What went wrong? Also, if I have a clip with sunny weather, how do we white balance using linear gamma? I find it easier to use the white balance slider in such scenarios. Listen to every word that I say and do everything I say that you need to do. So what's happening here? So we have this reference. The first thing you perceive when you watch this, what is it? Well, vibrant and colorful. Now, do you want to know what the first mistake is? This is the first mistake. Most people have taught you, before we get to Davinci, I need to show this on the whiteboard. We'll get to Davinci, don't worry. So most people, they have taught you that to get something looking like this, you usually want to go with your lift and with your gain in opposite directions. That's why this student of mine, he tried a split toning technique. But as you can see, even though he applied the technique, and I can clearly see that he did that, this got him nowhere. So most people teach you that you've got to do this and this. So this is me just dragging the color wheel in opposite directions. And this is called split toning. And this is split toning by color cast. So you're giving the image a tint, okay? So you are giving the shadows a blue color cast, so they become colder and the highlights become warmer. Now, what's wrong with this? The first thing that you should be able to see is that there is no inherent split toning here. There's no color cast, or if it is, there is a very little color cast. It's very subtle. So a lot of the times, I want you to understand this. I need to debunk the myth that you have in your mind that split toning will solve every problem that you encounter. It is not true. I need to tell you this. I have lost so many clients, me personally, when I wanted to become a colorist because I was stuck in this same situation. This is literally the worst mistake everybody keeps making, and I coach beginners every time, and every time they do this. So when you look at this, realize it's not split toning that will get you there. Okay, we need to work, guess on what? On our contrast and saturation. We need to use saturation techniques that I'll teach you in this video, and these are the same techniques that I talk about in my school. I go more in depth there, but we'll talk about different saturation techniques that you can use to get to this look. Okay, but you need to understand that you will never get with split toning where you want to go if you use that. So the first thing that I told this guy is, hi Jarek, what look were you going for? A lot of my grades in the beginning looked exactly like this. We're looking for a vibrant sunny weather look. Then the answer is saturation plus a tiny amount of warmth with gain or gamma. I would also play with HSL before adding a tint, which is exactly what I've told you right now before even knowing that this was his reference. So, I mean, this is like a trigger. If there was something that would make you trust me, this would be it. Me diagnosing the student's problem before he even gives me confirmation. Yes, vibrant sunny weather look and reference, which I know I already knew it was gonna be this. Okay, so I'm gonna make color grading very simple for you. Every time you look at a reference or an image or whatever you're looking at, just divide things into two categories: light and color. What this means is what is the image's exposure, and at the same time, how colorful is the image? So how bright does the image look, and how colorful is it really? So that's what we gotta figure out. Now, the image has a good deal of contrast and a good deal of color. So that's what we need to try to emulate. So the thing is this, if you are making this mistake right here, what is happening to you is that you haven't even identified what will get you there. Do you realize that you haven't even begun grading in the correct direction? That's your problem. You are applying the wrong technique. Because listen, so this happens all the time. Keep listening to me. I know that the urge to go to another video, it's easier because this is an educational video, but no, you need to turn your brain on for a second and just listen to the words I say. You haven't even begun grading and you are already applying the wrong technique. Why does it happen to you? Like, I want to end your confusion. Stay with me, please. It keeps happening to you because you do not know how to read with your eyes an image. You do not know how to do that. You see colorful, you think orange and teal split toning, but that's wrong. And it happens to you. No, it's not your fault. I get it. Trust me. It's not your fault. It's that every tutorial you see, there's a motherfucker applying fucking split toning like it's, I don't know, like it's curing cancer or something. I do not want you to do that. Please trust me. Trust me, I want you to have the best possible grade, and I'm going to teach you right fucking now. Also, quickly before we start, this is also wrong. This is just pumping the image with saturation and contrast blindly. So this is one of the things I really respect this student because he's really trying to put in effort, and that's what will get him where he wants to be. So the fact that he's failing now doesn't mean that he'll keep failing forever. In fact, I think this is exactly the right mindset. I like a lot the fact that he's trying very hard. Now, this is objectively wrong. This is still wrong because this didn't get into the result he wanted. Okay, so what's wrong with this? Well, okay, so first, I mean, we've got a lot of green. Now, we need to take a look at the raw clips, which he sent me, because I'm going to grade them. But this, to me, this looks like he just cranked saturation up and contrast up without even looking at the image itself. Now, when I say we need to have good contrast and good saturation, you're gonna see when I get to Davinci that I don't just increase the sliders. No, it's not that. Please trust me. You need to listen to my words very carefully. It's not that. We need to get a good deal of contrast, but we do that very carefully. It needs to be sculpted. It's like, I don't know, if you go to the gym, you don't just do exercises at random. Even though you want to get a good looking physique, you want to bulk, you're not doing things at random. It still needs conscious effort. You gotta go in and you gotta do things smart. This is the same thing. So let's go to Resolve right now so that you see me actually grading this exact footage. Okay, so these are the clips we are going to be working on, and these are from the student. So I am going to pull up the reference and we're going to take a look at it. Okay, I want to teach you how to analyze a reference. You need this. So one thing that I want to do is look at our scopes before we start. So just know that I have already converted our clips. So they're shot in HLG. They come from a GH5. Now, I recommend to all my students to just shoot log. I don't ever recommend HLG. Now, personally, me, I have never shot HLG with a GH5 because I've never used one. But I've used Sony's. And I can tell you that HLG, at least on Sony's, it gave me more trouble than it didn't solve that many issues and it just gave me more trouble. So I recommend, as a general rule of thumb, just learn how to use log. I teach that on this channel. If you're very new, like, go watch some of my videos. I teach how to handle log, or just go apply for my Color Kings Academy where I teach everything there in detail. Now let's get going. So this is converted and I'm using 2 CST. These are CST, these notes that you see. So I'm going to name it real quick while we take a look at our reference. Now, you can see on the waveform, if you're very new, the waveform is used to gather information about white balance and contrast or exposure. Now, very briefly, when the waveform looks like this, where we have a lot of detail both up and down and in the middle, it means that there's a good deal of contrast. This doesn't need to mean anything in particular. I'm just trying to teach you how to see the waveform for yourself. So this is very useful. I use the waveform a lot. And I also use the vector scope a lot. Now, the vector scope usually tells you about your image's saturation. As you can see, these two tools allow us to, gather information about our reference without getting tricked by our eyes. I can clearly see how much saturation is in this image and what colors we have, because I can literally see what color is extending from the center of a vector scope. So the center would be like neutral. So we have, this is the information in our image. What's at the center is basically black and white. Now, the more a color extends itself, the more it is saturated. So if I go with my qualifier right here, you don't need to do this. I'm just showing you, okay? Just to teach you. But if I go right here, you can clearly see that this dress right here, which is red, clearly goes out a lot because it is very saturated, okay? Now, bear with me. We need to take into consideration this, and now I want to look at our image. So we need to kind of understand what our starting point is. So let's do that. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Clearly two very different images, both in exposure. This is overexposed compared to that. Let's switch to my waveform. Yeah, see how everything touches the top? This is not wrong. Listen to me, please. Listen to every word I say very carefully. This is not wrong. Okay, I know that every tutorial you watch, they keep telling you do not go over like 1023 right here. Just max out your scopes, make sure this touches the bottom. Listen, this is literally the opposite of our references right now. Because the reference goes down, touches the bottom part, and doesn't touch the upper part. We do the opposite. Nobody's wrong here. They are just different, okay? Understand this, there's no right or wrong. I can't say I love red and you love yellow, and yellow is better than red. It's just subjective, okay? So right here, I'm not saying this looks wrong. I'm just saying it looks different, and we need to make it look like the reference, okay? Do you understand my point? This is very important, because if you don't understand this, you will keep making the same mistakes, okay? Now, so we have our reference. Already see how we will need to bring this down overall. And you can kind of see that, okay? We need to bring like this whole block of information down through our exposure knob. I'll teach you how to do that in a second. Now stick with me. So when we look at the vector scope, I want you to be smart. I don't want to teach a generation of videographers and colorists that are brain dead. I want you to be fucking smart about it. Look at what colors we have in our shot. You need to understand that when we color grade, we are not, like, color grading is a form of art. Do you agree? We're artists, okay? Yeah, there's some rules, but we also have, you know, our own taste, and it's subjective, I just told you. So we can do many things with an image, right? You agree with that. Now, color grading, that said, we can do a lot of things, but color grading, does it exist by itself? Like, if I had no clip, if it was like this, could I be color grading nothing? No, because you need a clip to begin with to do your color grading. Why do I say this? Bear with me, we're gonna go fucking deep. Trust me, this video is packed with so much value. Now, when you analyze an image, you need to be fair with yourself. A lot of times, I'm the first one, I'm gonna tell you, color grading rocks. You can do a lot with color grading, but you've gotta be realistic at the same time. Why? How much red is in this image? Well, we have these, this. This guy's skin tone is looking pretty reddish to me. We have a lot of things that look kind of red right here. This is pink. We have a yellow dress. We have the green plants behind her. So you can see that inherently, like if you would have looked, kind of think about what this looked in reality. It wouldn't have looked like this colorful, but think about it. Like these people are literally wearing bright red stuff. It looks already like it has inherent color contrast, which is what we're going to be talking about in just a second. Why do I say this? Because people like you, not people, you like you in particular, you're going to go on this clip and you're going to be like, where's my red? I want some red because I saw the red right here. I want red. Well, guess I'm going to add my red like this. And you're going to go like this because people have taught you to do it this way. Because nobody actually stops and thinks about, wait, does my image have the things that I need to make this look? Duh. But this is how you actually go on about color grading. I've had to kind of put down clients when they've asked me for a look. And you gotta go like, hey, we can't actually achieve it because it's so different. Okay, so we have colors that extend. So what we want is a vector scope. Okay, let's say that you do not know, like you're so inexperienced, you're such a beginner that you do not know what the fuck you're gonna do. Don't look at your image, look at your vector scope. So right now, what do we have? So you can see, like, if you don't even know how the vector scope works, I'm gonna teach you really quick. So I told you, like, it allows us to compare like saturation. We see how saturated our image is. So if I literally up my saturation right here, you can see that everything extends in different directions, right? Now, you can see that we have something going towards yellow. Like we have we have a Y right here, an R, M, and so on. So we have yellow, red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, okay? So wherever, you know, the spikes go, like in which direction they go to, we know that we are getting a lot of that color. Plus, I have my vector scope colorized, which allows me to kind of guess what's happening. Okay, so what do we need to do? So to get to this result, we need to, so I know that we have some yellow because we see it right here. I'm not even looking at my image, okay? Bear with me, I'm not even looking at my image. I know that we have yellow, we have some cyan, kind of like between blue and cyan right here. This is probably the sky. And we have some orange as well, okay? So we can play around with that. Magenta, introducing magenta will be pretty difficult because we don't have a lot of magenta. Green, we can have some green because we have neighboring colors, okay? We have yellow right here and a bunch of green right here. It looks like we could maybe get something out of it, okay? So our objective is to have an image that has a similar looking vector scope to this one and a similar looking waveform to this one. Now, given that they are lit in a similar way, I'm gonna show you. So, very simple workflow. I'm not gonna overcomplicate things. I'm gonna now grade the image. Now that I've taught you this, I'm gonna grade the image. I'm gonna walk you through everything that I do so that you can literally close this video and replicate the grade for yourself, okay? Very practical. So, I always like to go in, don't overcomplicate. Use 2 CSTs. I have other guides where I talk about why I use 2 CSTs. If you don't do this, go do that right now. Like my workflow works the best because it uses 2 CST. Go watch some of my other videos if you're new to the channel. Now, 2 CSTs. I make a node that I call exposure. This just lets me bring down the image's exposure. Now, do you see how just by me doing this, we are already changing how the image looks? Now, we need to be smart about it because our image has limitations. The first thing that I'm noticing is that we have blown out clouds. So we will probably need to keep our exposure a little brighter. Right now, I'm looking both at the waveform and at my image. I'm looking at it on another screen. So I'm looking right here. This is what you see in the video, which is the same thing that I'm watching. Now, so I apply exposure and I want to underexpose the image because we know that we need to get to this image. It kind of feels heavier. Do you see that? The image feels a little heavier because like this feels a little lighter. This feels heavier, not necessarily because it's exposed downwards, so it's underexposed compared to our image. It's more because they have heavier shadows. Like the shadows are literally darker. Usually when you make the shadows dark, you make them heavy. Like you give your image this heavy feeling. Opposite happens when you push your shadows up. So, exposure needs to come down a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to keep it right here. And if we need to, I'm going to raise my highlights if this doesn't look good. I'm going to try to find a frame. Yeah, this looks very bad. Yeah, we have some problems with our image. Yeah, I don't recommend you guys use HLG. I recommend you use log, especially if you have an 8-bit capable, 10-bit capable camera. But I was shooting log even when I was shooting with a Sony Alpha 6400 with an 8-bit camera. I was still shooting S-Log3. If you actually follow what I teach, you can color grade pretty much anything. Just listen to what I say. So after the exposure node, I have a contrast node. Usually this is done because I can adjust the brightness overall and then I can dial in everything. So to get the things that we wanted. Okay, beautiful. So I can now compare both images while looking at them simultaneously. Now, I want heavier contrast. This means that I've got to bring my shadows down. You can do that, like you can have heavier contrast also by bringing your gamma down. Gamma will start to get some of the midtones as well because the gamma literally does that. In this case, do you see how it kind of starts to look a little weird? Since the footage isn't like the highest quality available, which is what you're going to be working with, so we need to do like realistic color grading for realistic cameras, not cinema shit. Since this is not like highest quality, highest everything, it kind of starts looking weird. So in this particular case, I wouldn't be using gamma to bring down my to bring my contrast up. So I would be using my lift just so that we don't touch the midtones as much. Okay, that's my reasoning. So we need to go down. Okay, now one thing you see in their example is the fact that even though the shadows are dark, you can kind of still see something. Do you see this? Like this, look at this. So this part right here, the black thing, this is black. But when you go watch this is gray. This is not actually black. Do you see the difference? Even though it's very like it's underexposed, if you look at this guy's chest, like right here, it's pretty dark. Here as well, between different people, it's very dark, but it's still not black. So you can obtain this by lifting your blacks. This is called milky blacks. And you can do you can get to this result like this. This is a technique that I teach in my school. It's called shadow shaping. Again, if you get value from this, go check out the school. I literally give the same advice, but I teach on your video. It's fucking awesome, bro. So we need to do that because now I've brought my shadows down, but as you can see, they can be a little crushed. So we might want to do that. This is getting a little too black right here. So I want to do that. And you need to be very subtle, bro. Don't be one of those guys that just completely destroys the way their image looks. So this is fine for me. Okay, yeah, this is pretty fine. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to keep watching this. So if this were my video, and if I were to introduce the clip from the beginning, I would either cut this so it would start from here, or if we need to have the viewer see this, I would go grab my highlight slider in my contrast node. So we're just talking about contrast right now, right? I will go drag my highlights up so that we at least compress our highlights. And I would have loved to have a deeper sky, but it's just not possible. You got to decide what do you want to die for? So in the end, you got to make a compromise when you're working with footage that has problems. This has a problem. So we've got to make a choice. Now, if we want to get the best look available, I would just bring this back down. I would just be like this. If we need to do that, I would probably go here, split the difference, and have my midtones come down a little just to compensate for the fact that we kind of brought everything up. Okay, so we have this. I would probably like to get the image a little softer as well. So we can do that. Remember the shadow shaping? You can also come right here, log wheels. And if you don't know what they do, basically they do the same thing that these wheels do, but they are more precise. They're more targeted. See how if I use my gain, kinda everything gets black or white. So you can, you're using gain to affect your highlights, but you're not just affecting the highlights really. They're really broad and smooth. And that's a good thing. You want to use them that way. But when you really need to go in on a tiny detail, you use the log wheels, because on the log wheels, you can literally tell the program, hey, I want you to get just the shadows under 0.257, which would be around here. Okay, so you can literally tell that to the program. So in this case, I want to keep doing my shadow shaping, but I want to try a different method, a different technique, which again, I teach in the online school, top link in the description. And I want to bring just this a little, I want to push it up basically. So let me, okay, I'm going to play with the image. Since this is very precise and very subtle, if I just move it by a little margin, I'm not really going to be able to see what's happening. So what I want to do is play with it. A lot of people don't do this. I actually teach this. If you go watch my other videos, I teach you to play with your image. So I know with the exposure node, I knew what to do. With the contrast node, I knew what to do. With the curves, I knew what to do. Now with the shadow, it's so subtle that I don't necessarily know what to do. I want to see what looks best to my eye right now. So since I don't know what to do right now, because I'm clueless, at this point, I'm can we push this a little further? Okay, let's play with it. And by playing with the image, you see, oh, this looks totally trash. Oh, this looks trash as well. What if we go in the middle, maybe a little, like this? This could actually look good. Now I'm gonna get my range down since I don't want to affect the midtones as well. So I'm gonna just affect my black point. Okay, let me do that again. Okay. Now, we need to do a couple of things. So I need to worry about my saturation now. So let's say that we're happy with this, with how bright our footage is. Okay, I'm gonna make a new version. So this is the brightness that I would give the footage if we needed this to work as well. If we didn't need that to work, I would just have it a little different. I would be highlights down, gamma where it was, and this would be it. So I would prefer this one over this one, which is the other version. As you can see in the version with no compromise, we have highlights that sit below the other one, and this gets us to a more, so as you can see, I didn't even, bro, this is if you wanted to know if you couldn't trust me, I didn't even need to look at the waveform. but I matched them. Like exposure wise, we're pretty fucking close. You can see it that we kind of end where this one ends and all of that. Okay, so bear with me. Now, what do we need to do? Remember what I told you in the beginning? I told you don't make color grading complex. So remember that color grading is just adjusting how bright this looks and how colorful this looks. So if we're satisfied with how bright this looks, then we can go on and work our saturation. Okay, so after exposure and contrast, I make a new node. What is this node gonna do? What do I suggest that you do? Before going with a split toning technique such as this one, where this is called giving the image a color cast. So this is what the student did. See how the image starts to look? So my student pushed too much warmth into the image, by the way. It was looking, I think it was more like this. So you see that this absolutely sucks. And when you do this, like I want to warn you. So if you do this, what you're doing, what's the difference? This could be a question that you might have. I had this doubt. So what's the difference between giving it like a little split toning with this method or a lot? The difference is this. This is very curious to know. So let's say that, okay, I want to watch just this. So you can see that we already have inherent split toning. People don't realize this, but this, when you look at your vector scope and it's this really is already split toned because we literally have the image split in two directions, right? So when you go apply your tint with the lift gamma gain method, with the color wheels, what happens is that you bring it in one direction, okay, and everything gets squashed towards that direction, okay? Then you go and you want to compensate with your lift, right? And you keep doing this, and as you do that, everything, sorry, I apologize. If we keep doing this, everything gets compressed. So everything becomes either of one color or the other. You see how like it's all on the same axis right now? It's different from this one. Right now, like we have some yellow, something is going towards yellow, something's going towards orange. We have just a slight tint of purple. I guess it's coming from this area and this area. Like we have some, yeah, you see, like the flowers. I mean, this, I told you, this still has inherent split toning just because of the way it looks. Like because you're recording green plants in a blue sky. Duh, it's gonna have split toning built into it. But a lot of people don't think about it this way, but it's the way it works, okay? That's why we need to be realistic. So what you want to do is this. So if you apply a lot of it to your footage, everything starts to look either blue or orange. That's what happens. That's why if you actually see me applying this technique, I have a video that I've just published. It's literally 2 hours of me color grading for a client. So like, bro, fucking insane value. Like you see me color grade. When I go, I apply some of this split toning technique. When I go do this, you don't see me doing it this way. I'm really subtle. Like most of the time, it's just this. Let's say, okay. So there's that. That was a that was a thing that I wish somebody told me when I was starting out. So I apologize if I got too much off track. So let's keep going with our grade. So what we want to do now is reach that result. Now, what is this result exactly? They have a lot of colors that go in different directions. So if you were here and you were wondering, how are we going to get it with split toning? Let me assure you, this look that you see in La La Land is not fucking split toning. Please do not listen to the guys that sell you split toning every time you see a sunny look. This is not, where is the split toning? Now that I've taught you and now that you have the answer, please you tell me, where the fuck do you see split toning in this example? I'm listening. Tell me. Do you see how people that, like, I know you, Jarek, you're gonna be watching this video, of course. Like, do you see how silly people sound when they look at this and they think, oh, split toning? No, it's got no split toning in it. It's actually the opposite. So do you remember, I just showed you, like, on this image, if we apply, like, the split toning technique that you think is going to work, now I'm speaking to the viewer, not just you, Jarek. Do you remember, if you apply that technique, it actually starts to look either one color or the other. You remember that, right? When you just look at this is actually the opposite. So how do we get there? I was telling you before we got onto this rant that we do light and color. So now you've got to work your saturation. We need to get the colors that we have in our image and we need to get them out. Because in our image, they are a little subdued and we have like, everything looks kind of the same. Like actually here, we don't want like just one or two colors because we don't want everything green and everything blue. We want the opposite. We want different colors and the image looks so colorful and vibrant, right? So what I'll try to do is get this to look in of a different color. This goes towards a different direction. This goes towards a different direction. So everything needs to go in its own direction and everything needs to be saturated. Now, I have not graded this clip yet, so I don't know how feasible it's going to be because I already see that this has a lot of limits. Jarek, if you're watching this video, I would suggest really start shooting log. Don't get scared of noise because I know you told me that you're scared of getting too much noise with log. Again, go watch, I have the color grading essentials. Go watch how I reduce noise. You can literally get rid of 99% of it, okay? Don't be scared. Now, let's get grading. So my first node is going to be Sat, which stands for saturation. And I'm going to teach you a method to handle that. So instead of going right here, boost our saturation slider, which already does something, but doesn't look the best, we will need to do something else. So I want you to pay attention. This is becoming a masterclass, but I love it. I love to give value. So you see that if I push the saturation everywhere, what's happening? Like colors start to get a little weird. And we should be having some doubts now. Because didn't Giuseppe just say that we want colors to pop out? Yes. So why do they look weird? Because what did I tell you in the beginning? Think with me. Think. I told you, if you just listen to what I say, you're going to get beautiful looking images. So stick with me. What did I tell you? Yes, the image is colorful, but that is done with techniques. Okay, you need to be careful. You need to be like, when people look at the image, they think, oh, he just upped the saturation. No, fuck that. No, you are like a ninja. The image is gonna look simple. Everybody's gonna assume, oh, warm, sunny weather look, split tone. No. Actually, it's not just this and this. It's not this. This is way different from this. So what is it? If I just up my slider, the image starts to look weird because we don't want actually everything to go out in the same way. We want to pick and choose what color gets saturated and what color stays the same. Because I mean, the sky is already looking fucking like, this is already over the top. Like how much more saturation do you want to add to it? A lot of people like, please, I love that you're still listening. Like, congrats. I respect you because a lot of people leave because they don't have good attention span. But I want to reward you with a lot of value. I see beginners always do this. People think that they need to up their saturation a lot. Like if we actually go look at Jarek's posts, he did this himself. Like there's a post where he just has saturation over the roof. And this is overgrading. So when this happens to you, what's happening? You're getting fucked by flatline Fred. Flatline Fred is the voice that we all hear when the technique that we're trying to apply doesn't work because you're like, oh, why does this look trash? And instead of going back, you try to apply even more of it because you think it's going to fix your footage. It's not. So listen to me. Let's get going. I'm sorry if I'm going on these rants. I am just trying to give you the most value I can provide in this video. And so where were we? I usually like to set my saturation node on the HSV color space. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just know that it's like a mode. Okay, let's call it that. It's another mode that you can put your node in. When you do that, your color wheels behave differently. So it's like unlocking new buttons, basically. If you've never done it before, it's really easy. Right click, go on color space, and select HSV, this one. Now, it's not set yet. You need to go right here, channels, so right click again, channels, and deactivate 1 and 3. People in the space, or it's not a secret technique, like people in the space know about it, and it's really useful. So if you're a total beginner, it is time for you to start implementing this, okay? Now, why do we use this? Because now, instead of upping saturation, as you can see, like saturation now behaves very weirdly. So to increase our saturation in this node, so if you go right here, saturation still works. So it's just that node that now is different, is in a different mode. Now, if you go to this node right here, to increase saturation, you use your lift gamma gain, not like this. As you can see, we're not doing anything. Like the saturation changes, but in a weird way. Not like that. You want to go right here. So as you can see, if I decrease gain, I make my image black and white. If I increase gain, I do the opposite. So I give it some color. Same thing goes for gamma. In this case, gamma and lift as well. So what's the difference between these three control knobs right now? When we use the gain knob in the HSV color space, in the HSV mode, we essentially saturate the already saturated colors. So if the sky is really blue, gain pushes the blue even more. Same thing goes for the leaves and everything else. Now, what I like to do in this case, where we have colors that pop out too much and colors that don't pop out as well, like as much, I like to go back on the gain and up with the gamma, so that we bring everything, so that the things that are already too saturated get squashed down. And once they're squashed down and they are with the other things that didn't have a lot of saturation, we bring everything up with gamma. Do you understand that? Okay. As you can see though, we're pretty far away. Like, we're still far away. Like, this is a cool concept, but you might be like, yeah, but Giuseppe, like, you still haven't gotten the look. Like, the colors really aren't there. Why? Because as I told you, this is not going to be enough in and of itself. Because we need to go and choose what colors need to do what. So how do we do that? My saturation node, I'm going to reset this. It's still in the HSV mode, so we can still do this. I just went back. And I'm going to make a new node right here after contrast. And it's going to be my HSL node. Now, I'll make it serial so that this is very simple and easy to follow. If you want more complex node trees, if you're not a total beginner, go watch my other guides or just go check out my online color grading school. So I'm going to make a new node and I'm going to call this HSL. Now, if you don't know what this is, HSL, I call it this to remind myself, like the name you give nodes doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just to remind yourself what you're doing right here. So I could call this poop and it wouldn't do nothing. Okay, so it's just a thing for you. I call it HSL because I know that right here, I'm going to work on the hue of my colors. So the hue is basically like what color they are, literally. And I'm going to work on my saturation, HS, saturation. So how strong, like you get that, and luminance. And you're going to see what I mean by that, like how bright each color is. So let's open this. Now, when I look at this image, we need to understand we have no red. So we probably won't be able to get any red in our image. I doubt that. But we can get a similar looking blue. So do you see like, fuck, this is deep. Do you see how I am kind of like, I don't see the image as a whole. If you really want to be a great student, like if you want to learn color grading, this is my best advice for you right now. Do you see how we started with a broad concept, but now like we are going really all in like on the tiny details? Because you can come to me, I'm a colorist, and you can say, Giuseppe, can you color grade this? And I can be, yeah. If I tell you recreate La La Land, you're going to be frozen. Why? We're not doing anything too fancy. Like, look at it. How many nodes are these? I spent some time because I want to give you some great value. But actually, like, how much did we do to the image? Not a lot. So why can I do this and why can't you do this? Like, what's holding you back? The thing is this. Since you're still a beginner and you haven't gotten proper advice, because most YouTube tutorials, they suck. Let's be honest. Nobody teaches things the way I do. I'm the only one on YouTube that teaches these concepts at this fucking high level. Now, since you're a novice, you're a beginner, when you take a broad concept, you do not know how to follow through. If I tell you, go win a war, go win World War III, you're not gonna know, like, what does it even mean? If I just tell you, go learn how to shoot a pistol. Okay, but how do I shoot a pistol? If you're so behind on it, like, how do I even shoot the pistol? I don't know how a pistol works. Okay, hold the gun and press. Do you see how by breaking things down, even you that do not know what the fuck you're doing with your footage, you can follow through? So what's missing? Okay, so what is the problem with you? You're not wrong, okay? Trust me. I lost a lot of clients, and I want you to understand that I almost quit color grading different times, bro. I'm being really real with you. Go watch some of my videos. I talk about this. I tell stories. I didn't think I could actually become a colorist because nobody tells you these things. So the problem is this. You're missing a structured course, basically. since you binge watch YouTube tutorials, you have in your mind, you form different ideas. So split toning, I don't know, this type of look, this. Okay, you form different ideas, but there's nobody like me. I'm the only one. I've never seen somebody teach color grading like I do. There's nobody that actually like connects the dots in your mind. That's why you know a couple of techniques, you know a couple of concepts, but it doesn't seem to work. Like, how is it that you keep learning things, but things never work? This is why. So what you need is a structured course. You can get it, like I literally made it in my Color Kings Academy. That's my only purpose with these videos and with my academy. Like I literally want to take people to the next level with color grading. And that's what you're missing. So you can, don't worry about the academy. If you're not interested in actually getting in, just go watch my other videos because they'll give you so much understanding. They will make things finally fucking click in your mind. So, back to the grade. We have green, so we can emulate the green. We have a hint of yellow. We can emulate the yellow. The blue, we can get it to looking kind of like this cyan. It could be like your preference as well. Like you could decide, do we want the blue to look blue or cyan? Up to you. We have no red. And we have no skin tones in our image, so we can't really go about the skin tones. I see a lot of red in the skin. It's beautiful. Fuck, I love this grade. All right, let's keep going. So I'll walk you through it as we go and we grade the image. So what I want to do, it's very easy. Follow me. You go on this tab right here. You're going to have Curves Custom. Okay, this right here. Instead of staying right here, what you want to do is hit one of these buttons and it takes you to different tools. You want to be in the first one. So like in the second one, sorry, which is called Hue versus Hue. Here, you select a color and you transform it into a different color. Now, before showing that, there's another tool that does the exact same thing. It is Color Warper. I, myself, prefer to use Hue versus Hue because it's one of those tools like Color Warper. It's great. If you want to use it, it's a little different. I'm not going to teach it in this video, but it still works great. I just feel more confident with my Hue versus Hue. Anyways, so we're going to grab, let's say, what do we grab? I'm going to grab my blue for demonstration because blue is predominant in the scene. If okay, so first things first, I don't click on this and I don't go like this. You can drag it up and down. Like if you just get a point, you will just be changing the hue of the whole image. So you actually have to click, 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 and then you can see, you can do this. But I don't actually like to do this. Like, do you see how like imprecise this is? This is kind of wonky. So like the professional way, the way I like to do it is very broad because if it's super like, if it's a small point, it's going to be like, look at this. If it's very narrow, it'll be prone to breaking. Like look here. Okay, you can clearly see that. So you want to have broad adjustments. And the way I would do that is with this. So I would just click on one of these buttons. Okay, one of these colors. I would click on it. Okay, even it's not perfect, but it doesn't matter. If you really want to have it perfect, just drag this right here where you see that we have a lot of blue. So the graph right here tells you that we have a lot of blue in the image. It doesn't tell you that blue is intense. No, it's not saturation. It tells you, hey bro, there's a fuck ton of blue values in your image. And I'm going to say, of course, because we have a huge sky right here, right? So, all right, so back to this. So get your blue right here, and I use these sliders right here, okay? I like to use them. You can also use your mouse if you want to be quicker. I like to be more precise. This Hue Rotate slider, it allows you to be more precise. So I would just use that. And if you go forward, you basically, like this blue right here, goes forward in this sense. So if I go up, the blue moves to the left and it becomes cyan, then green, then yellow, you get the point. So if I go back, as you can see, it went back and it's now at pink right here. It's magenta, it's going towards magenta. So I want to go a little forward because right here they have the cyan pool and I want it to share the same color if you want to have like the same palette. Okay, this is exactly the same color of the pool, but it is way more intense. Do you see that actually we have more saturation now than the La La Land grade? So in this case, you'd be crazy to keep it at this. So I would actually go right here and desaturate this. I don't like it one bit. Like, I would never do this. I'm just showing it to you. The sky just looks too unnatural for me. So I should have some other stills. I want to see what their sky looks like. Yeah. So their sky isn't as extreme as this one. You can see that. So still has the same DNA, but it's not this extreme. Like, this is the color of the pool. So we're not actually going to go this far. I'm going to park it right here. Beautiful. Okay, this is very similar. I like it. We can make it a little more saturated. I'm going to teach you something else. So I'm going to park it right here, because if I give it too much saturation, I want a little less. If I give it too much saturation, we start to lose the effect that they have. Notice how it isn't super saturated, but it is less, it has a lower luminance value. So this is also underexposed compared to our image. So I'm going to go back to the other reference, to the original one. But if I were to grade this, I would go right here on Huma versus Luminance. I would drag my blue and I would drag it down. You see that this makes it less bright. Now, in this particular case, I am not buying this. Like, I don't like this image, to be honest with you. So I would just keep it more natural, have it slightly towards cyan, just a little bit, and maybe give it some more saturation just to get some of that back. And I actually like this. So the trick for this, so I decided on my own where I want the sky to be. You can literally do this. If you like the sky green, go for a green sky. But the way, like, do you see how this kind of speaks the same language now as this? Like, it would make sense to see a sky similar to this one, maybe with a little less saturation, just a tiny bit. It would kind of make sense. No, actually, I like it this way. It would kind of make sense to see this right here. How did I do that? Well, I just looked at the vector scope and I was like, this cyan part that we see here, this is their pool. So this is how much their cyan extends in saturation. If I just take my sky and I have it comparatively close, this will speak the same language. So it'll be coherent with what they have, okay? This is a small piece of advice. Now we gotta handle our green. So you can do things in the same node. You can have one main HSL node, or you might have seen people on YouTube do this. You don't really need to do this with parallel nodes if you're a little more advanced. I usually do this in one node, my HSL node, and that's it. So I handle different colors in the same node. It depends a little on your situation. And for this example, I'm just gonna stick with it. So what I want to do is make our greens pop a little more than what they're doing right now. So the way we do that is this. So Resolve, usually when you have green that looks like this, Resolve views it as a yellow, okay? So I'll show you really quickly. So if I go on my hue versus hue and I hit my green, nothing happens. And you see this because in the green section of the curves, we have no value right here, but we have a lot in the yellow section. So if I actually hit this, oh, now a lot happens. But I want to show you this. So watch how if I bring this up, we kind of change everything. Why? Because the yellow is now like, do you see how smooth this is? This is a little too smooth for what we need. This is actually grabbing also this, which I think is going to be this section of our image. So what we need to do actually is now make it a little narrower. So we drag this point. If it doesn't come up by itself, just hit the red because this is the red point. We go input hue, we go all the way to the right until we stop dragging what we don't want to drag. Of course, you've got to split the difference, okay? There's going to be times where you affect something and you need to affect the other thing as well. It's how it is, okay? There's no like perfect formula. But this allows you, as you see, like now we're affecting, do you see how this guy doesn't change anymore? We're just affecting the blue since we have done things to the sky and the leaves now. So use this method. So when you want to get the type of look where you have these types of colors, just use this method, okay? And use the same technique that I'm showing you right now. So what you want to do is this. So these leaves, so if we go look at this, they need to look a little more greenish. So I'm going to have them come here. Okay. Maybe a little less. And I need to give them some life. So I'm going to make a new point here on my hue versus sat where we decide saturation for each color. And I'm going to give him some life. So this would be a trap. Most people right now would be looking at this area because it's big and it's in the background and you can see a lot of plants, and they would be comparing it to this. This is wrong because this is not a fair comparison. If you actually want to compare your footage, you need to compare footage that has the same lighting. Okay, like we need to have similar conditions. Otherwise, you're going to fool yourself. Be very careful. So do not look at this. Look at this, because we have like harsh shadows, kind of like we have right here. So we look at this and then we reference this and we ask ourselves, do we like it? Well, when I keep looking at it, I actually see that maybe I want them to be more towards green than what they are now. So let's do that right now. A little more. Okay. I would leave them at this. This is fine for me. So, what are we missing? I'll be honest with you, I don't like the way our sky is exposed. Unfortunately, we can't recover much because the image, this is literally clipped detail. If this were log, I would have recovered more of the sky. We would have had more detail to play with. But we need to do what we can with the footage that we have. That's why I always say, guys, use log, please. Even if you shoot 8-bit, it's always better to use log if you want to do color grading. I don't like HLG. So what I want to do now is, can we hit our red now? So can I have this right here? Can I have it like not our red, but our orange? What happens if I bring this up? Okay, we hit that. Well, let's play with it. What hue do we like more? So if we look at our vector scope, we don't have every color that they have. So what we can try to do is have colors that go in different directions, basically. So what we can try to do is have, you see this orange go in a different direction, and we can stop when it doesn't feel natural anymore. It is already falling apart. You can see it right here. Again, do not use HLG. Please do not do it. Okay, so what I would do is probably get this a little closer to red. Just has some variation, even though, I mean, we could, I'm torn apart on this. I'll actually keep it like this with a slight push towards red. I like it this way. Also, I'll go on our hue versus luminance. I want to make our plants a little darker. Why do I want to make it, like, why do I want to do this, do it this way? Because when you reduce a color's luminance, you make it deeper. And deeper colors, you can have the illusion of more saturation, even though you don't increase saturation. Because there's a correlation between how bright something is and how colorful it is. Like, if something is very bright, essentially, like, eventually it turns to white, right? So if we turn the brightness down for that color, we can have this illusion that it has more saturation than it normally has, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to go right here, hue versus luminance, and I'm going to be very broad with this one. Let's see what happens. Oh, I was hoping for something better. So something very interesting is happening. When I increase this instead of decrease this, we actually get rid of this right here, which I prefer. So I'm actually going to keep it as is right now, because this is helping us. So good game, GG. And okay, what's missing now? So this is what we can do with the colors that we have in our shot. Now, what's missing from our La La Land look? So we need a slight tint, which I'm going to add at the end. And we might play with our saturation really quick. So this is already HSV as I said it. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now in a second. I'm just concentrating. Okay, right now I'm doing a wonderful technique that I teach in my school. So do you remember when I told you some minutes ago that when we work in the HSV mode and you increase gamma and decrease gain, you essentially have every color, like the colors that are too saturated go down, and the ones that are not as saturated, they go up. What I'm doing now is essentially the opposite. So what has a small amount of saturation goes even like more down, and what has already some saturation keeps going up. What this does is it cleans the image. Usually I do this in combination with another node, and this is called layered desat. I do this in some of my videos if you want to go watch the technique. Very useful when you want a clean look. In this case, it helps me get saturation where I want it and no saturation where it's just disturbing, like where it's not useful, basically. So I'm going to keep it as it is. As you can see, it's a very small difference. It's almost imperceptible. Where you can notice it is right here in the cloud. So if I disable my node, you can see that this has more color. I like it. Like it's a little more natural when you watch it and it doesn't have that blue cast. Do you see that? So I like that a lot. Okay. Now we've got to give it a tint. So in La La Land, they have a very subtle color cast. It's a warm push. It goes towards orange in the highlights. And I'm guessing that they have, if you look at this, like in the shadows, they have a reddish or bluish push in the shadows. So we're gonna go over that really quickly. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I think they have a very slight cool push in the shadows. Let me actually see that really quick. So do they do that? So black point is neutral. Yeah, I love the grade of this. Yep. Exactly. Okay, so yeah, let me teach you. So what we need in this case, we go forward with a slight warm push. I want this to be very, very slight, like very subtle. Kind of like this. And we can keep going actually. Okay, right now, as you can see, this is changing the way my plants look. So I'm going to go back to my HSL node and I'm going to keep changing their hue. I'm going to give the blue sky a little more saturation. This is happening this way because of our node tree. So I could have chosen another type of node tree and that would have cleared things a little more. It would have been a little simpler, but to keep things easy to understand, I'm doing it this way. One thing that I don't like is how much saturation this has right here. So we need to decrease our reds a little. Yeah, kind of like this, where they now look more normal. And I would maybe give the blue some more love. Because when we give it a warm tint, we like the blue gets desaturated, so we lost some blue right there. Okay. At this point, I would let me think about it. I'm probably gonna head back to my tint, go in my log wheels. We could also use my HDR wheels. Let's try it with HDR. HDR usually, you remember when I told you about log wheels? Log wheels very targeted and that's it. Beautiful. HDR wheels do the same in this context and the way that I'm going to use them. So I'm going to try to use them before going to my log wheels because they can give you a little more flexibility in cases like this. So what happens if I have this? I'm now just testing what I'm doing. Yep. Okay. So now giving it a slight tint. Let's see how this holds up. It's a little overexposed compared to La La Land. So I'm going to try to underexpose it a little more. Yeah, as you can see, like we are a little bit over the top. Also, contrast needs to change a little. I'm going to use my curves for this one. And if I can be honest with you, I love the way this is starting to look. I would probably, so what we did, so in the last node, I used this to give it a similar tonality to what they have going on right here. So you see this pink right here. I'm not sure how they obtained it. I'm not sure they obtained it the same way I added it to my footage. But either way, with the HDR wheels, very quick way to introduce it in my footage right now, right here. And I love the way this looks. I am just, let me think. There's something that is maybe missing. Maybe I could tweak my sky. Maybe just this. But nonetheless, I mean, the gray looks good to me. So greens match, everything matches. The only thing that's different is the shot itself. For a grade that only has 5 nodes, I mean, this is a grade with 5 nodes and a lot of technical difficulties. If you ask me, this is a great, great, great result. Let's see if I can actually keep pushing it. A little too much. Yeah, we could try push it. Like, I love to see this darker, but yeah, this is starting to... Yeah, I mean, you could tweak the image more, but either way, I love what we got here. I think this is one of the best things that you can get with this type of footage. With all the technical limitations, we still have a good enough looking grade. So me personally, I wouldn't have gone with a strong look for this one just because of how technically limited it is. But if you wanted to get a La La Land look for this type of footage, this is exactly what I would do. Maybe with a little bit like a more complex note tree, but for a beginner, this would be totally fine. So if you're interested in learning color grading and actually improving the way your images look and get personalized feedback, follow my course and everything like that, go check out the top link in the description where I literally walk you through every step of the way up until you know how to master your own footage, basically. All right. God bless you.